All right, so we were in section 5.2. We were looking at infinite series. And the last series we looked at was telescoping series. And in the telescoping series, the problem that we had was determining whether or not this first series actually converged or diverged. We looked at it via partial fractions, and then we were able to come up with this and n-1, n+1. And so as we were doing this series, we did the partial fraction expansion, which some of you did not do on the exam. So if you didn't do the partial fraction expansion in order to do the partial fraction problem, but miraculously you got an integral, you lost 5 points out of 10. So here, here's how you do the partial fraction. We solve for a and b. We find out that a is equal to 1/2, b is equal to -1/2. And then we were able to write the nth partial sum of this telescoping series. Now you can't tell it's telescoping until you actually write it out. There are other ways to determine whether this series converges. We'll talk about that, but for right now, this is a telescoping series. And it being a telescoping series, we can find its actual sum. Okay, so as you can see, we had 1 minus 1/3, 1/2 minus 1/4, 1/3 minus 1/5, 1/4 minus 1/6. And this would continue until we got to the last terms, which would be 1 over n-1 minus 1 over n+1. Okay, so as we look at this, you can see that Sn, I'm going to close this. For some reason, this does work a little bit better when I don't have that going on. Okay. So Sn is 1/2. And then I can see that the -1/3 and the +1/3 are going to subtract out. And I can see that the -1/4 and the +1/4 will subtract out. And I can see that the -1/5 would subtract out here. So everything's going to subtract out. And the only thing that will not subtract out will be, this will subtract out. So what will not subtract out will be the first couple terms. So that will be 1 plus 1/2. Because the 1/3 and the dropped out, the 1/4 dropped out. There's no way to get rid of the 1/2. So we have 1/2 times 3/2. Oh, I'm sorry. I done got rid of the other piece. Plus 1 over n+1. Okay. So therefore the sum of the series, which is the sum n equal 1 to infinity of 1 over n squared minus 1. That is the limit as n approaches infinity of the nth partial sum. So that's the limit as n approaches infinity of 1/2. This is 3/2 plus 1 over n+1. So that becomes 3/4. Okay, and that's the end of that problem. Unfortunately, that was all that needed to be done that was left of that problem.